Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and today we're going to be talking about eyeshadows. Yes, I know the foundation does not match me. I've already discussed it in another video where I put this foundation on. And you can check that video out up in this corner. So, what I've noticed about me and my channel recently is that I don't really talk about eyeshadow too much. Like, I will talk about it if I'm putting it on camera, which is rare because I don't really like putting my makeup on camera because I have a certain vibe I like to be riding whenever I'm doing my makeup, which I think may sound so absurd to some people, but there are people who know where you just need a podcast and you want to go through it. So what I thought would be fun today is to actually talk about some eyeshadows. So this was a tag or a trend that happened sometime last year or at the end of 2019. And Annette's Makeup Corner originated the idea. So it's if I could only keep 10 of my eyeshadow palettes. And I originally did not do this trend because I thought about doing this trend earlier. It was I don't have that many eyeshadow palettes. I do have enough eyeshadows that I can break it down to 10. And then as I was choosing 10, I was like, wow, I really had trouble hitting 10, not because it was difficult for me to choose 10. It's just I think maybe I don't love as much of my collection as I think I do. And so I just want to I want to show some love to eyeshadows because eyeshadows got me into makeup, and I just want to talk about my favorite 10. And just as a heads up, if you're not familiar with my content, I do tend to enjoy and imbibe in luxury makeup, so you might be seeing some more luxury makeup than you would in some other ones, but I wouldn't say that my channel is exclusively luxury, but it does feel that way. This is the Mothership 5, the Bronze Seduction palette. Look at it, live it, eat it. So obviously this is the first really warm Mothership palette she did, and at the time I was not really into warm eyeshadows, but then I bought this palette and I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing. What I love about this palette is it's red and bronzy, but the deepest shade is a purple, and it's a warm purple, but it kind of offsets everything and just makes it feel cooler, right? And I obviously, if you've never used a Mothership palette, the 4 shades on this side, well, I say at the bottom here, but when you're looking at it on this side, they're pigments. They have texture, and they feel a lot different than a normal eyeshadow. If you've ever used an indie eyeshadow multi-chrome, Cleona shadows, or I'm Shine by SD, very similar feeling to them. And these ones really did it for me. So I love this red shade, but actually this bronze, you can see that I have gotten my fingers in there. And then this, which I love about these two, is that there's a green shift into them. And obviously if green and red are Christmas colors, but also green and red are complementary colors in color theory. So they really make the red pop. And if you have green eyes, red eyeshadow, and reddish, red undertoned eyeshadow is really going to make your eyes look beautiful. I have green eyes. So this really just made me look stunning. And it really got me into warm tones and bronzing. And I love a cool tone moment too. But this really made me appreciate what a warmer look could look on me. And I love this palette. And I think it was the first Mothership. I was unemployed for most of 2017. Is that the right year? Most of 2018. So 2017 into 2018. And I had been working again for a while, and this was the first Mothership palette I brought into my collection officially. I had an unofficial entry of a Pat McGrath palette, but this was the first one that stayed in my collection. And I appreciate this palette for the journey it's taken me on. This one's a newer one to the race, and I've only used it one time, but I'm gonna invite it to the table. I'm gonna invite it to the party. It has a seat at the table. It's the Antiquity palette from Noctex, which is not really a brand that a lot of people talk about because it is a clothing brand. There's lots of things to love about this. It's very subculture vibes, and subculture is one of my favorite palettes. But as I've been trying to Project Pan my subculture palette, and I am noticing it's not really performing the same. So I think I might declutter it, and it hurts my heart, but also if I could use this and get similar effects, I would truly love that. And off the top, love that that you can remove these, pop them into a magnetic pan. Love that. These blend so well and are so beautiful So beautiful and dreamy on the eyes. I just think that this would complement a lot of the other shadows. If I only had 10 shadows, this would be like one of my like colorful, I'm really doing something with my look today. I love it. I love these grungy tones. Anytime there's like a grungy palette released, it's like something that's on my radar. But then I often think I have subculture, I don't need it, and I have these grungy tones. But now I have this, so subculture, and I got kicked to the curb a little bit. But I really enjoy using this palette the one time I did. And now that I am holding it in my hands, I need to use it more. But I've been having this like complex about my eyeshadows is that like I'm not using any of them a lot because I just, my collection is so weird because it was like color, color, color up into a point, and now it's like a lot of neutrals. And it's like, I'm like trying to figure out where do we go from here? So I feel like we just did grungy, and so now we're gonna do basic. And this is the Natasha Denona Camel palette, and it is basic. Like, I'm not lying, but I enjoy this palette. To me, this is the ideal now that travel is happening again. Although I say it's like the best travel palette. When I travel, I take like so much makeup because I'm like, I never know what I'm going to feel like doing. I never do, so I have to. But if you're a basic Becky, if you're a basique like me, this is like where it's at. It's not, you're not doing anything special, but you're gonna look really good. Of course, it's the Natasha Denona formula. Blending is a peak blending, beautiful blending. I will say like this shimmer is like not my favorite formula. I don't know what it is about this particular formula that makes me go like, I don't know that I like that. But it doesn't look bad on the eyes. It's not hard to work with. It's just like not the texture and color and what I think it's going to be when I put it on my eyes. But all the rest of them, chef's kiss. Okay, so I'm going to talk about another Mothership palette. And this is, which one do you think it is? Take a guess. I have all of them. In case you didn't know, if you're new here, I have all of them. So you can take your guess. It is the, what is this one actually called? Nocturnal, I like don't know. The names are not actually on them, but this is Mothership 4. It is like the grungier version of them. Now I just talked about these special shades. These four, well, these three are like my favorite ones that have ever appeared in a palette. I love them. Specifically, I love this one right here. But you have this green and this red, and you already know that I love green and red together. But not like in traditional Christmas fashion, just like I like them together on an eye look. I think they look very stunning, and it doesn't always read Christmassy. And I think that these palettes are like proving my point. And then you have like a charcoal gray, a golden here. I just love everything about this palette. I would say this is probably the one I pick out the most to use currently. I always think about it, like if I'm looking at my motherships, I think this is the one. This is the one that my hand's gonna reach out and grab. And I'm obsessed with this palette. I think it's a shame. I don't think this is like one of the better selling ones because this one's almost consistently marked down. And if she ever announced that it's going to be discontinued officially, I would buy a second one just to have on deck. Even though I know I'm probably never going to run through this one, it just makes me feel better. And that's like such an absurd thing to say. So since we just talked about a bigger palette, I'm going to talk about a smaller palette. This is the Tom Ford quad in African Violet. And if you've never seen it, it's this one right here. This is like my warm tone, beautiful dream, but like my decision's been made for me. I think a lot of people, especially in the smaller creator community of BeautyTube, wow, I don't think I said any of that right. It seems like there's a common notion that we want smaller, compact eyeshadows palettes. And so like, yes, this is a very expensive quad and I'm not expecting people to go at it, but there's something beautiful and lovely about a quad because your choices are kind of made for you. Like if you're only using this palette, there's only so many looks you can do. And there's something like very nice about that. Like again, this is something that I would obviously travel with. It's compact enough to travel with. But just like this purple and this orange and the way they like perform on the eye is like very lovely. And the two browns, like you just like know what you're doing. And they perform. They are like the right amount of pigmentation. They're not too pigmented. They blend like a dream. And I just really love the way that this looks. And I like, obviously, I love the ease of this palette. I love the ease of a quad in general, but I really like that this is like a quad where the decision's made for you, but you're still going to get a stunning look that has intrigue to it because you have those like not vibrant colors, but like colors of intrigue, if that makes sense. If people say colors of intrigue. So I talk about this palette a lot and how much I love it, but I just feel like I never pick it up. But every time I use it, I'm like, I should use it more. It is the Colored Rain Queen of Hearts palette. I got rid of the outer carton like a fool. The outer carton's beautiful. It's like just like a sleeve and it has these cutouts and stunning. But if you're not familiar with this palette, she does look like this. And this came out around the time that Modern Renaissance did, but this is like the indie gal Modern Renaissance. Every shade in here is so beautiful, pigmented, and blends, which is like, sometimes you don't get the pigmentation with the blendability, but everything in here just works really well together. And this is one of those palettes where I don't have to think too hard. I do actually love a palette that challenges me and like kind of makes me think about what I have to do to make it work. But these colors all play very well together. This orange I put in every look, even though it's like not really a transition, I like put it in the crease almost every time because with those purples, just, wow, I've just realized that this is like the upgraded color story of the Tom Ford palette I just showed you. So clearly some repetitivity. But this would be like if I wanted to expand on my Tom Ford look, this is like the full boat. All of these shimmers, stunning. And like, I love this crown shade. The only thing that's a little bit weird, this shade right here, which like looks kind of like a cream, it does, I don't know, I don't know how to say oxidize, but it goes on like warm, like a very warm color. And it doesn't look so warm in the pan, but I can't even complain about it because it looks stunning. Every look I've ever done has been blent and stunning and minimal effort. And that is what's so nice about this. I think it's one of those, it's a tried and true underrated palette, but everyone talks about. But like, how many people are using it on camera? Again, I think that's why I'm like really want my channel to be more about like using what I have because I want to remember and talk about things like this, you know? But this is almost on the opposite side scale. This is the Viseart Grand Pro 1X. So I never bought the original Grand Pro, but Viseart had a wonderful sale like a month or so ago. I can't remember like if it was an anniversary sale, but this is what it is. It's a palette full of mattes. Now, one could argue that this side right here is all going to read very similar on the eyes. And I'm going to tell you that they don't. And like, you can take that or leave that. I understand if you don't believe that. But they do kind of set the stage for whatever you're going to do. They're beautiful transition shades. Everything in here is like pigmented. And then to me, Viseart eyeshadow is like the best at blending. Like the best minimal effort like work. Especially because what's lovely about this is you're really truly like building a gradient if you are like playing this right. And then it just like looks so good. The first time I ever used a Viseart palette, which it's on my channel, you can like go back and look at it. I was like so surprised, and I wasn't really good at blending at the time. I wasn't really taking the time to blend the way I do now whenever I'm doing like a blown out look like this. I like was kind of going bah, 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 and I thought that's enough. But now I like really am just kind of like blending and blending and blending. And they show, I can't say enough. So the reason I picked this eyeshadow, this Viseart palette, as opposed to like one of the smaller ones, it's like very nice just like have a trusty matte palette. And there's something elegant about an all matte look. But that's like not normally the vibe I'm going for. But to have it in my option as my collection of just like if I only ever had like only 10 eyeshadow palettes, this would be nice. And there's a lot of beautiful shimmers I have in other palettes that I might not want to play with those particular mattes because you're just really getting specific shades whenever you have a color story that only has 10 shades in it. This is going to like broaden my horizons with what I could do with the mattes. Also, I love these. I don't have brows right now, but I've used just their eyeshadows as brow powders for a long time. In fact, most of the time I did my brows, I was running a Viseart shadow through them. And also, like, you could use them as liner. It's just, I mean, this is definitely, like, I would say this is more of, like, a makeup artist's kind of purchase. Because, like, honestly, the average user doesn't need this. But if we're not talking about this particular challenge where I can only pick 10, the reason I purchased this is that I love shimmer. I like to buy the really pretty individual single shimmer shadows, and this is like my companion piece to make them a full look with those shimmer shadows. Does that make sense? So this is like my companion piece to make it all come together with my indie shadows. Indie shimmer shadows is what I was trying to say. Okay, so it is. So this is my final Mothership palette from Pat McGrath. Take a gander. Which one do you think it is? It's actually Mothership 1. It is the one with like the blue tones. Again, these very special shades in the corner. This blue, shut up. This pigment, shut up. I have this pigment in singles too. Shut up, leave me alone. I want them all. They're mine. I want my eyes to always be this color. So, what I love about this one, unlike the other ones, the not special shades, I'm going to put that in air quotes, like the not special shades, really are dynamic. And they might not look it because they seem very dark. However, if I just did like this shade and then this shade, it's like a beautiful just like wash of color on the lids. This shade right here, this like taupey color, it's like something very special. It's like this blue silver, but it's not too shiny. It's not even super pigmented. And I think that's like the beauty of it. Like on the lid, just with the finger, it's like a wash. And then just putting that in the crease. Shut up. That's a look. It's so, like this palette is like, can be so easy or so complex and just like out there. And it's just like very versatile in a way that does like not expected upon first look. Definitely more smoky, definitely cool toned, which is like not for everyone. But for me, it is something. And it's like kind of the opposite palette to the red Mothership I put in here. Okay, now I'm just hoping that I counted right because I have 2 left and I haven't been numbering them as I've been going. So editing me will correct me. And I hope I really don't pop up editing here saying that I couldn't count to 10. But it's a reality that I might be living in, okay? We're all good. I can count. Okay, so this is the palette I used the other day to make a beautiful look. And this palette I don't pull out a lot, but I've had it since it came out. So, and it's beautiful aesthetically to look at, just the palette. It is the Muerte palette from Melt. And I think it was a big mistake to not put this in their collection permanently. One, I wanted the other one, like the sun one, and I'm not going to bend this all the way back because the packaging is really pretty, so I apologize if I flash you at all, but this is the color story right here. It is just so stunning. And I feel like Melt is such a polarizing formula, but I think this is like one of the instances they got it right. Now, I don't have any other Melt palettes to compare it to. I'm basing this based on like what I see my other favorite creators talk about. But Lauren May Beauty and Teresa is Dead. They both often talk about how like Melt is like hit or miss and like not really the jam. But what I can tell you about this palette is that all of these are like, they just are perfect. So I use these 3 red shades as like my outer, and then I did a cut crease with the blues and the greens. It looked so good. Again, here's the look. Take it in. And it just worked so beautifully, and it really challenged me to like, looking at this is a hard palette. Like, if you're just playing with the blues and greens, sure, but then you have this reds, and like, what are you gonna do with them with the blues? Like, it's certainly like, it makes you think. This is like kind of an outlier, this like warm like highlight, but it does look good on the inner corner, and that's normally where I throw it anyway. Or as like on the lid, like to do a transition between one of the other 2 shimmers. Would have been nice to have a red shimmer though, I will say that, because I feel like red shimmers are like few and far between, just kind of in general. But I'm picking this one because it made me really like do a look where it was like eyeshadow was the look. And it was really fun to like put like heavier makeup on, and I haven't done that in a while. Just like in general, like all of it was very heavy looking, and it was like very fun to do, like a full coverage, just like look, and it was like so fun. So that's why this one's making the cut. Okay, so we are finishing with a large palette, and it is one of the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette 28s, and this is the green version. I love a green smoky eye, and like this one is just, it commits to it. What's beautiful about it is you have some warms, you have some neutrals, you have some cools. You can take it wherever you want. And as someone who like truly loves green eyeshadow, it is like just what I want. I haven't gotten too deep into it, and whenever I do, I realize that I pick the same shadows to put on my eyes, so I have some biases. But like even like this shade right here, this like, oh, the sparkly, and I just like the way I like Natasha Denona eyeshadows perform. And I'm not like, I like Luxe product, but I don't also know that it's not always the best and like not necessary. But this just like was necessary in my collection, and when it went on sale, I had to grab it. And I have the purple one too, but this green one just like truly speaks to me. I look at this and I just am like, ah, it's one of those, like a lot of the other palettes I picked, it's like, you're not going to make any mistakes. You're in good hands here. You know how they're going to perform on the eyes. You have like these beautiful greens. It's just so stunning in my personal opinion. And like, I can't get enough of it. And, yeah, so that's it for this. So that's it for this video. I thank you so much for watching. If you had to pick 10 eyeshadows to put eyeshadow palettes as your only 10 eyeshadows, what would you do? Do you own any of these palettes? Let me know, because maybe I need to use one of these in a future video, just for my look in general. I now that I'm feeling like inspired by eyeshadow. I feel like right now everyone else is like flowing into complexion and like really enjoying complexion, and I'm like, I want to talk about eyeshadow. Because I just like had such a good experience with the Muerte palette when I made that look the other day, and I was so inspired by it. So I really want to start doing some like more bolder eyeshadow looks, and I'm inspired and feeling fresh and fancy and free, and that feels really good to me. If you want to catch me anywhere else, I have 2 podcasts with my friend Tiffany, and it's It Bears Repeating and Recollect. I have details of that down below. If I have anything that I think is going on in the world that you should know about, that's also going to be linked down below, places to donate, etc., etc. Pride is right around the corner. I have some great ideas planned for videos. I'm scripting some things out, scripting some things out. So I'm very excited to share those with you. I will do like a Pride look tutorial, because I did this look last year for Pride, and I wore it to work, but like I want to do it again because it was like very good, and I just want to do it again. Let me know if you have any requests for video content. I have like lots of ideas. I just am wondering if there's anything that you want to see. My name is hautemesstom again. I will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.